Hey guys, in response to the tutorial request that you had talked about whenever we spun the wheel on the live stream yesterday, one of the things that came up is a lot of people were talking about creating clarity in a mix. And that's something that is probably a prevalent question over and over again that I get quite a bit. And what I think we need to actually try to figure out first is, what does clarity in the mix actually mean? Does it mean carving out low end? Does it mean boosting up high end? What does clarity mean to you? So first off, you need to figure out, like, okay, what genre am I working in? Because clarity is actually different in different genres. In the hip hop genre, clarity is hearing a lot of good bass tones and still getting a good vocal line to set on top. Whereas in folk music, clarity is hearing the acoustic guitar and the singer over top of the rest of the instruments. So clarity can be sort of subjective. We need to look into the situation based off of our specific needs. But as sort of a rule of thumb, the main thing that I think people are looking for when they're asking for clarity is they're asking for all of the instrumentation to set into a mix well, to be heard well, but not to step on one another. And so that's really just a lot of EQ, sort of mixing ninja tricks with EQ. Not all of it. A lot of it also has to do with arrangement. And we've talked about this on the channel a lot, where the arrangement of a song will lend itself to the clarity of the song. So I'm going to play a portion of a song that I'm working on here for a client. I'm sure he's going to be completely fine with this. It's only being shared here within the VIP membership group anyway. But there's a certain portion of this that I want you to hear. So as the song starts out, it's very bass heavy on the piano, on the key side of things. And then when the bass comes in, which is right here, let me go back to this desktop, which is right here, I want you to pay attention to the clarity, okay, which is what you're listening for. Listen specifically for the low end of the mix, because there's like a drum loop and the bass guitar that comes in on top of this already heavy sounding loop here at the top. So take a listen. Little left hand heavy.
Yo, I can't believe how many years have gone by. I know time flies, but when I look in the mirror, I can't believe my eyes. It seems like yesterday I was at my parents' basement, rocking steadily, full of hopes and dreams of my whole life ahead of me. Where did the years go? Days turn to weeks, months, years, and before you know it, you're in your 40s, feeling like your best years of a
Okay, so all that being said, the low end of the piano was not shaved out, was not taken out at all. I didn't do like any kind of like automation on the EQ, which is still an option, but it didn't necessarily need it, because what you're looking for when you're looking for clarity is fundamentals. What is the fundamental of that instrument? So of the bass guitar, typically it's 72 Hertz, whereas of the kick drum, it's 65 Hertz. And because it's lower on the spectrum as far as the frequencies are concerned, you have a lot more room on that lower end to wiggle with. So I can cut a lot all the way up to 72 on that bass and get by with it. In fact, I can cut out nearly everything that would interfere with the kick drum at 65. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Now, with that being said, well, what about the low end on the piano? Well, the low end on the piano, if we look at it, was actually more like a low mid. We'll check out the spectrum here. Let me remove my mug from the screen, and we'll go ahead and play this again.
Feeling like your best years are behind, where you were busy with your nose to the grind, you're past your prime. Now my hair's gray and I'm all fat and tired, but I know my day is coming, man, I feel so inspired. I'm ready to deliver everything the Lord put inside me. The time to let it slide is behind me. I'm so done with self-doubt, now I can feel my faith climbing. Been doing music for 30 years like I'm on.
Okay, so what you'll notice from my EQ curve, though, is I've shaved off everything 89 and above. So that's perfect amount of space being carved out for the kick and the bass. So all of those are playing well together without doing any crazy like side chaining, any kind of crazy like multi-band compression, nothing like that going on. It's just simple use of an EQ. So that's where the clarity comes in. So when you're creating a mix and you're trying to research clarity, where can I find clarity in this mix? Ask yourself a couple of questions before you try to do a bunch of crazy mixing ninja tricks, before you start trying to duck things and tuck things and find ways to compress things. Ask yourself, okay, how many instruments do I have playing at the same time whose fundamental frequencies are in the same region? Are there some that need to play a more defined role and others that can sort of be pushed back into the mix or even turned down or even taken out altogether? So ask yourself these questions when you're thinking about clarity. Now, the other aspect of this is, remember, you have 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz. That's a huge spectrum. So when the high end comes in, as he's talking here, and you hear these angelic voices begin to play, they've got a ton of high end and not so much low end. So clarity in that sense, look at this. No EQ whatsoever. I didn't need to. There was nothing to carve out, nothing to cut out. So you can actually get by with a lot more than what you think you can. Now, I do believe that I actually did some EQ on the bus itself. I'll pull that up real quick. I don't want to leave you thinking that I did no EQ whatsoever on that, because I did actually right here. So I did carve out some low end, but I didn't carve out a lot of that top end. So you'll see I've actually boosted at 5,400 kilohertz, and I cut out all the way up to 159 because guess what? It's all typically high end. I don't need all of that. So as far as getting the clarity there, it was just a simple, cut and a little bit of a boost. So clarity can be obtained by different ways. And one of the things that is sort of a catch-22 with my 3 reverb trick is that if overdone, it can actually damage the clarity. You want to use those sparingly. So you'll see on this mix here, I've got reverb short and medium. Short on this, the ooze, no long, no medium whatsoever. I've got just a little bit of long being used on this, the Vox parallel. And I've got short and medium on the Vox themselves. So there's a lot more going on the vocals on this, just simply because it's a rap track. And rap tracks, the vocals got to set on top, and I wanted to add a little bit of grit into it, which is helping to create that clarity again. So with this, the way that I did that was I did my typical, put little Ultra Boy on there, set it to a rich fifths. I blended that in with the mix where this is what you get.
Years are gone by. I know time flies, but when I look in the mirror, I can't believe my eyes. It seems like yesterday I was at my parents' basement, rocking steadily, full of hopes and dreams of my whole life ahead of me. Where did the years go? Days turned to weeks, months,
So by
years,
itself,
and before you know it,
doesn't sound like much, but I de-essed it, did a little bit more of some corrective EQ with the Kirchhoff EQ here, and then blended it back into the main Vox. Now this is literally being fed from the main Vox channel into this, and then I put a long reverb on it to push it back into the mix. So this is how I created clarity in that vocal, because if you take it out, you can definitely tell a difference.
You know what, you're in your 40s, feeling like your best years are behind. Where you were busy with your nose to the grind, you're past your prime. Now my hair's gray and I'm all fat and tired, but I know my day is coming, man. I feel so inspired, I'm ready to deliver everything the Lord put inside me. The time to let it slide is behind me. I'm so done with self.
So now what does that do? And how does that create the clarity? Well, it's very simple. Whenever you put little Alter Boy on there and it pitch shifts it, you're getting different frequencies. You're getting different ranges of those frequencies. You're also getting saturation, because as you can see, I actually cranked up the drive a little bit more than what I normally would, which gave me the ability then to get a little bit of grit on the edges. That grit introduces saturation, which then introduces harmonics. So if you want something to stand out in a mix and to hear it better without turning up the volume or without having to duck things to get it to be heard, my go-to is to always try to find some way to saturate it. I did the same thing here with the piano, and I put the old TL64 tube leveler on there and did a lot of saturation. I used the vocal tube. Pianos have the same range as a vocal, so I figured that would work perfectly, and it did. Yet again, another beauty of using presets, and I just tweaked it a little bit after I got that preset dialed in, and that created that clarity. So this mix, before I did any of that, this is the same portion with the oohs and the ahs from the choir. I'm going to remove all the effects, and this is what it would sound like without the effects and the EQ moves and everything that I've just talked about. So this is that.
Deliver everything the Lord put inside me. The time to let it slide is behind me. I'm so done with self-doubt, now I can feel my faith climbing. Been doing music for 30 years like I'm on assignment. For crying out loud, when this destiny find me, I can't let another...
Sounds okay. Vocals definitely a little hotter than it needs to be, but you put the effects in there, and those effects massage everything, and you get this.
To deliver everything the Lord put inside me. The time to let it slide is behind me. I'm so done with self-doubt, now I can feel my faith climbing. Been doing music for 30 years like I'm on assignment. For crying out loud, when this destiny find me, I can't let another minute pass by me. It's my time to shine.
Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people.
I got my first MIDI keyboard when I was 16. It was the early 90s, and I fell in love with the rap scene. I had the big...
Awesome. So I hope this video was useful, and I hope you can take something from it. If you'd like to hear this song in its entirety once it's released, make sure to circle back around and let me know. I'm sure I'll be sharing it amongst the community nonetheless. But this artist, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 𝗛𝗦𝗦, we've been working together now for a couple of years, and he's very, very talented. An older gentleman from Canada, and he's just doing a great job of knocking it out of the park with some good alternative Christian rap. So check him out if you haven't already checked him out. He also sells beats. If you're interested in making some rap songs yourself, some hip hop, some boom bap style, he definitely can hook you up with that. So yet again, guys, hope this was helpful. Remember, we can dream alone, we can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. God bless.